So as you can see, night has fallen and we're about to go into Slab City to party with some of the locals. They've got like a free music night. So we've got the two things we need. We've got the 6-pack and the stun gun.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This is Unplanned America, where you're invited to join Parv, Gonzo and me, Nick, as we flee Australia to road trip around the land of the free in search of the weird, wonderful, mysterious and sometimes scary unplanned side of America. This week we explore what happens when the American dream becomes a nightmare. From the ruined metropolis of Detroit to the outsider oasis of Slab City, California.
Don't let another child lay down their life in vain. Realize we are the sane ones here, and these streets belong to us. So if you must pick a cause to fight for, I pray you pick this one, because Detroit won't last another day without you.
Once upon a time, the city of Detroit was a teeming metropolis of 1.8 million people and had the highest per capita income in the whole United States. The city is now home to a third of that, just 700,000. In 1950, with the rise of the automobile industry, which made America the giant it is, there were almost 300,000 manufacturing jobs in Detroit. Now there are less than 30,000. There's around 80,000 abandoned homes in Detroit, and more than half of its adult residents don't have jobs. We were drawn to the city to film the visually striking decay, chasing, like so many other out-of-towners, what the locals disconcertingly call ruin porn. And we expected to find a city where the American dream was in tatters.
You got buildings that's falling apart like this, that's messing up people's cars and vehicles and probably falling on them, so you gotta take care and you gotta watch out. You might go in there and fall through floors or whatever.
Quality. You got your own reality show, man.
Welcome to MTV Cribs.
This is Nick's crib.
So yeah, this is a Packard plant, 38 acres of now abandoned, semi-demolished, burnt, graffitied property where they made luxury cars, enclosed in 58 apparently, and was for a time the most modern car factory in the world. The cool thing about it that I just heard was when they cleared everyone out finally in the 90s, they had sick rave parties here.
And it feels like, I feel like I'm in the set of a movie like Terminator Salvation or something like that. It's trippy.
You know, as a kid, you can remember watching people come in and out of this building going to work back and forth. Now, all of a sudden, it's a vacant building. But that's because all the multiple companies have moved out. You have a lot more vacant lots, vacant homes in the city of Detroit. People lose their job, or naturally they can't pay the rent. So they kind of like walk away from homes, or they kind of walk away from things, you know.
Imagine yourself walking along an old road. The sun is warm on your back.
We're in an abandoned courthouse, and all the records and all the deeds and arrest reports and all this weird shit is just strewn everywhere. Like they just left one day and left everything in here.
You find yourself. As you progress down the road, you find yourself in an overgrown garden.
Probably the most unsafe building I've ever been in my life. An extremely fire-damaged fire department headquarters.
A wooded area where the trees become denser. The air feels mild and a bit cooler.
This is an abandoned school here in Detroit, which is kind of a bit of a strange feeling because obviously it would have been filled with bunches of kids. As your elected school captain of Detroit High School, I will promise to increase the lines of communication between us and the teachers. Now, Shakespeare, this is Iago's soliloquy in Othello. Thus do I ever make my fool my purse, for I mine own gay knowledge should profane if I would time spent in such a snipe, but for my sport and profit. Thank you, Detroit High School. Go well, be the leaders of the future.
All roads for urban explorers in the once proud city of Detroit lead to one place, the greatest icon of the city's decay, the breathtaking shell of the Michigan Central Station. It used to see over 200 trains a day, but today saw only us. And led by Parvo, we made it all the way to the top.
So as we've been driving around, we've found a whole neighbourhood of foreclosed houses which have been abandoned. Looks like the artistic community are starting to reclaim these spaces so they're not so shitty and scary, but sort of turned into like something which makes the neighbourhood feel good again.
The classic series of action movies, RoboCop 1, 2, 3, there could have been more set here in Detroit, and we've actually stumbled across the original design for the main character himself, RoboCop. I think you can agree they probably went with the more menacing option.
We knew of Detroit's rich musical heritage, being the birthplace of Motown records, techno music, and Eminem, and we thought what better place to get an idea of what the creative community thought of the state of their city than a hip-hop club.
Bring your real music down the ruins.
My neighborhood is basically ruined. Every house is ruined. My block is really the only block left standing because people are doing a lot of scrapping right now, you know, stealing from out of the houses. As soon as people move out, they're taking everything from out the house, which, you know, knocks the value down of the house and basically, you know, brings the neighborhood to a ruin.
We all are tired of living the violence, you know what I'm saying? We tired of seeing little babies hurt. We're tired of seeing old elderly people hurt. We're tired of seeing houses burnt to the ground. You know, as neighboring communities, neighboring blocks, you know, everybody is just like, yo, we sick of that shit, so we're gonna try to do something to rectify that.
I'm from the streets, I got royalty blood. The crown on my head, it was given from God.
With help, you know, from the city itself, you know, and help from, you know, different people, you know, to make it grow and to help the community out, then that's what's gonna change everything that's going around us, you know, at this point in time.
As we plant these grassroots and they begin to grow, people will start to see that Detroit still has that nice soil that you can come here and plant your idea and it can grow. Detroit is a city of hard workers that saw a vision that they wanted and they went after it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in Detroit got their own vision of obtaining a better life, of obtaining an American dream.
Give it up for HP.
Once we all put this giant ass mirror up where we all can stand there and look at the shit that we don't like about ourselves, we can change our community quick, fast, period.
And that's happening.
And that's happening right now.
Good, man.
Because we taking that look like this is not right, and this is what we want, and this is what we need so that we can move forward to have a productive city and have productive people coming out of productive cities.
Yeah. All right, man. That's good words, man. Wise words.
Thank you, sir.
Super MC.
Yes.
Detroit used to be America's fourth largest city, contributing to the country's place as an industrial superpower. After the closing of its factories, it became the biggest bankrupt city in the USA, and we were shocked to see a third of it in ruins. But as we dug deeper, we found beauty amongst the destruction, and our time at the Hip Hop Club had showed us some surprisingly optimistic attitudes from the city's people. We'd scored an interview with one of Detroit's most impressive and respected citizens, old school revolutionary Grace Lee Boggs.
Well, I think collapse is very helpful because then you have to start anew.
99-year-old Grace has been an activist and philosopher for 70 years, focused on rebuilding the city from the grassroots of the community.
I think the disappearance of jobs is seen by most people as a disaster. We have not realized the extent to which dependency upon jobs is very dehumanizing. How much people have compensated for that dehumanization by wanting more things, by consumerism, materialism. But it's also what happens to you as a human being, that you try to compensate for your dehumanization by excessive consumption, and that begins to imperil the earth. And all sorts of disasters follow. I see Detroit as an inspiration. I think that it has moved from being the national and international symbol of the miracles of industrialization, becoming the national and international symbol of the devastation of deindustrialization, and now it's becoming the national and international symbol of a post-industrial society.
One example of Grace's post-industrial city is the use of its vacant lots to grow fresh food, which would otherwise be unavailable to poorer Detroiters.
The alternative to what we had here was tall grass that the city didn't cut.
So how many urban farms are there like this in Detroit?
Wow, the last I heard, 1,500 that we know about.
And it kind of seems like nature's taking back the city.
It is, and in a matter of years, if you just left a space alone, you'd be amazed at what can grow out of it.
Yep.
And then with a little care and a little maintenance and some benches, some seeds, it's awesome.
I love living here. Sometimes it can be rough, sometimes it can be bad, but young kids come out here and pass their days without any mischief, so their parents know that they're safe and they're being healthy and they're helping their environments.
Okra, tomatoes, sweet peppers, beets, tomatoes, kale.
Detroit kind of witnessed the rise and demise of a certain type of American dream. Do you feel like it's made people think about what really should be the American dream, you know?
Some of us. I'm just grateful to be in a position that I know wonderful folks who are having those conversations, who are reimagining what it means. I mean, to be alive in this time. And what is our future like? Because it's not going to be anything like what it was. It's not coming back like that. Grapes, sunflowers, strawberries, and...
All in this?
Yes, all in this.
I mean, it sounds in some ways like it's kind of an exciting time.
It is. Anytime that you can be creative
Yep.
and really think about endless possibilities, I mean, it is exciting. It's a little scary, but Detroit is full of movers and shakers, and they all don't have zillions of dollars in their pockets, but it doesn't mean they're not moving and shaking.
Pony Ride is another example of the community banding together to rebuild Detroit. A factory building purchased for $100,000 after a foreclosure, it now houses small manufacturers and artists using cheap rent to do what Detroit does best, make stuff. We were also sleeping there, and our host and owner Phil Cooley shared his thoughts on how people power can rebuild a broken city.
It's not coming from like a big government making decisions, but it's coming from individuals helping each other out.
It's a people-led movement. You know, people think, oh, poor Detroit and woe is them, you know? But I go around and I see a bunch of incredibly talented people. Some of them are not as fiscally wealthy, but most of them wealthy in many other ways. And I think it's truly about just letting them be who they are. Like these collaborative spaces, when people are working together, it's incredible how effective and efficient they are, how much more resourceful they are. And I think it's like a lesson to me in how we can get shit done. This is a huge, massive movement of people that have been down. Like, I mean, we have a rough history, and I've only lived here 10 years, and what I've witnessed and what I see in every neighborhood and what I see in every person that is ready, it's like, all right, this is finally a community. This is finally what I grew up in, a rural town of 9,000 people where everyone knows everyone's name and is ready to just like, this is it. We're gonna do this in a big city.
Yeah.
Awesome. A picture was being painted for us by everyone we'd met about a city on the brink of collapse that the citizens were rebuilding on their own. We felt that the final word should come from a woman whose personal struggle and hope for a brighter future represented the true spirit of the people of this remarkable city, Detroit poet Tawana Petty.
I am a victim, I'm a survivor of what can happen when families are ravaged apart. I mean, my mom had me at 16 and didn't really know how to raise a family. You know, we went through a lot of things. We moved like 10, 15 times. We were molested because, you know, she was dating what she did what she thought was right. Yep. You know, had babysitters that she didn't necessarily know, and things like that. And so I went through a whole life of trying to get away from my past. And then I started to shift and realized that I couldn't leave and that I had to stay here and be a part of what I wanted to see Detroit turn into. I don't see the abandoned buildings the same way I did when I was little. When I was little, it was danger. They were a threat to us. And now I see them as opportunity. Every time I see a house now, I look at what it could become, or can we grow food there? You know, can that become a school, a different type of education, different things like that? You know, like what Grace talks about, the jobs aren't coming back. You know, I think that's a harsh reality for everyone. So now you're forced to find another way to make a living for yourself, and you're forced to utilize what you already have to do that.
And what do you think some of the keys are to the transformation of this city for the best?
Returning to one another, getting to know who your neighbors are, have community dinners. I mean, there are blocks in Detroit now that I'm aware of that where they ring a bell and they actually commune for dinner in the alley. They've made makeshift tables and everything, and they cook together and they potluck, and people are realizing that that is what is going to take to restore our neighborhoods. People have to learn that everyone is lacking something, and if we all come together, then we can all, you know, it'll make. And I know that seems so cliche, you know, like, oh, if we just all hold hands and kumbaya, but it really is that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Like many purveyors of ruined porn before us, we came to Detroit to morbidly explore and capture the destruction firsthand. But the longer we spent in the city, the more we were struck by its story. The thing that hit us the hardest was the fact that the city was being taken back by the people. The citizens we met were reclaiming control of their city and hopefully creating a new Detroit and a new American dream.
A lot of people think Detroit is bad. Ruthless. It's not like that. It's a good place to be. A lot of good people down there.
This is the city where people are starting to say, all right, this is up to us to do it, and how can we do it together?
We are at that one of those really profound cultural revolutions.
I think the future for the city is, you know, basically great. Truthfully, I think we about to blow back up. I think Detroit is really about to be the epicenter to the earthquake right about now, you know.
I'm without. What do you need? What do you have that I need? What can we together make? And that's the reality. That's what it has to be. Because without that, we have nothing. And so I think people see that now.
Fittingly, our time in the great city of Detroit coincided with the USA's Independence Day, the 4th of July. We celebrated like we thought we should by smashing beers and setting off a shitload of fireworks.
That's it.
That's all, folks. Leonard came out here probably about 28 years ago and had an idea and started doing it. And I really feel he was commissioned by God to do this.
We drove through the California desert with temperatures soaring on a search for the mysterious, man-made Salvation Mountain. We'd been given a hand-sketched map from a couple of vagrants we'd met in San Diego a few weeks earlier, but were beginning to think we were lost. Then, all of a sudden, we saw emerging from the arid desert a rainbow vision. We had arrived. Made it to Salvation Mountain out in the California desert. Apparently it took 28 years to make, and you can sort of walk all over it and get in amongst it, so we're going to go and venture around a little bit and check it out. Believe it or not, Salvation Mountain was truly a sight to behold. And in the brutal desert heat, I'd never felt closer to God. So this is, I guess, some shrine, obviously. There's more Bible verses and some, praying angels. And what we also have here is the 2002 Nyland Tomato and Sportsman Festival Sand Buggies Winner Award, which is obviously a proud moment. There's a few more. There's a horse there, which was for the cat. It was a participation award, that was.
There's a bunch of kittens Check it out.
Shit, like...
I'm not really a cat person, but I make exceptions for kittens. Should film that one.
Yeah, film the other one.
Chicks will love that shit.
From atop Salvation Mountain, we noticed a strange settlement in the distance. Fortunately, local historian John Norton was on hand to tell us more.
It seems to be like a bit of a community and stuff of like...
This is known as Slab City. There was a military camp here during World War II, and people from all over come down here to winter.
So what type of people does it attract? Is people that don't want like a conventional kind of lifestyle?
People who just want to be left alone, just off the grid.
It's not dangerous or anything, is it? Like,
well, in any community you have your low life and you have your good people. A few criminals hiding out. It's a good place to hide out.
With night fast approaching, we decided it would be best to explore Slab City the next day. We set up camp by the side of the road, but personal safety remained a top priority.
one of us is going to sleep while the other one stays awake, and we're going to take turns.
We'd survived the night. It was time to check out Slab City. The heat was unbearable, and this strange desert dwelling was unlike any place we'd ever seen. There didn't appear to be anyone around, just abandoned caravans and creepy sculptures that seemed to exist as a warning to unwelcome strangers. It was eerie, but we persisted and delved deeper. Like a mirage, a couple of locals emerged from the desert and offered to take us on a tour of their Slab City. Our first stop, the Pet Cemetery.
When you look at it, you know, it says Gunner, forgive me. You know, I look at that and I cry because you just wonder, and you know, that must have been really painful for that guy.
So there's a big community here. In the summertime, right now, there's only maybe 125 people, but in the wintertime, between 1,500 and 2,000 people are out here. Yeah.
Everyone has a story out here too. How they came to Slab City, why they stayed.
I moved here from San Francisco. I just dropped my life there and came out here. I like the community out here, you know, with the range, and we have an internet cafe, and there's a library here.
Like co-workers think of you living out in Slab City, or do they know?
Well, see, I don't really associate with a lot of them because I don't have a lot in common with them. That's why I fit in out here.
This is our brothel, and we just installed a bed above it.
If you're just looking on the internet and you don't know what it is and you see all this bad stuff, like the stuff that the media portrays, then you're like, ooh, you know, it looks scary there, but it's not really. Here's our alien crash site. And if there are issues like violence or problems, we discuss them. Or if somebody needs help with something, we'll try to find resources.
We spent a few more hours on our own exploring the slabs, getting a feel for what it might be like to just shut up shop and go completely off the grid for a while. But as the intense heat sapped our energy, the thought of actually doing it didn't seem so appealing. As if the desert sensed our discomfort, we suddenly stumbled across a river flowing through the outskirts of Slab City, finally offering us salvation. Refreshed, rejuvenated, and feeling comfortable in our surroundings, we decided to stay a little later that night, but we weren't taking any chances. So as you can see, night has fallen and we're about to go into Slab City to party with some of the locals. They've got like a free music night. So we've got the two things we need. We've got the 6-pack and the stun gun.
Don't waste it.
We're gonna need it.
We might need it.
We actually seriously might need this. Parvo also has a knife.
I really hope I don't have to use this. I reckon stabbing someone would be pretty gross.
It turned out our weapons were completely unnecessary, and we were probably the most heavily armed people at the range. What had started as a day trip to Salvation Mountain had led to the unexpected discovery of Slab City and a world we never knew existed. But after 2 hot days in the desert and a night's rough sleep, we were ready to hit the road.
Sweet peppers, beets, tomatoes,